All right, welcome to episode 3 of Out at the Park Baseball and our series on the Boston Red Sox, a Boston mandate. Excited to get back into it. It's been about a week since our last episode, so looking forward to the focus of this episode will be on meeting the team, current roster, construction of this Boston Red Sox team here in 2026. So let's dive in. A few housekeeping notes. I did make some small changes to our front office and personnel that is pending at this point. So in the last episode, we talked about some of the changes we made to the staff in the organization at the top level, the major league team. And what I've done since then, as well as I did have the scouting director initially in there and left that alone. I have since fired that scouting director. Ratings were not good. Did not believe that position is incredibly important to have the right person in that role. So we do have an offer out in that position, and you can see here the current positions that we have, or the current offers we have out to folks. So we have Scott Austin with the managerial position out for our AAA team in Worcester, as well as a hitting coach in the AAA organization as well. That's a 3-year position for Scott and a 2-year position for Kelly Ramos. And then we have a scouting director coming in for a 4-year term of a little over $1 million a year, 1.45 million to be exact, for Tom McNamara. So you can see the stats on him, the ratings. Scouting of the major leagues, excellent. Scouting the minor leagues, good. International average. Scouting of the amateurs, excellent. That's the focus here on the draft. And we have a favor tools. I didn't highly favor ability or highly favor tools. I wanted a little bit of balance across both. So Tom, if he accepts this position, will be a scout that'll favor more of the tool set of a player as opposed to just looking at the stats. Do they have the ability to put up good stats in different categories? So I'm excited about bringing him in. I think he'll be an excellent addition. The scouting director we had in there was nowhere near this level of quality, so I'm excited for him. But let's dive into our lineups. What I would like to do is go a bit about around the horn. So I think we'll just take a look at it from this position here, this depth position. We'll start at catcher. We have Carlos Nevarez, who is our starting catcher. Excellent catching, and with our focus again on catching framing being of high value within the game, even catching framing is going to have a value for our organization, our pitching staff, and the effectiveness of the staff as well as the catching position. I want one that has a good strong arm, because we also have stealing the base running tendencies up relatively high, so we will see teams stealing more often. So with his plus arm, plus framing, and plus blocking, he's going to be excellent. Not a ton of a bat here, but again, out of the catching position, if I can get a decent player, really more plus pop in the bat and has a decent eye, can get on base, is really what we're looking for. And you can see here we did some updates to some of our stats, and so far this year, I mean, not great numbers out of Nevarez, unfortunately. He's down on power this year than what he was in 2025, all things considered at this point. And he's just throwing up a 79 WRC plus. So 100 is league average. So he's well below our league average in hitting. So really at this point, all of the war is coming from his good defense, which can carry him. And again, for his salary, I mean, he's just league minimum yet. Nothing to be too concerned about. But we will have a platoon position there. The Red Sox currently do have Mickey Gasper up as well in the organization. And this player does have what I would say is a little more bat potential for sure. Nowhere near the catcher though, the actual behind the plate catching position. But you can obviously see what he was throwing up in AAA with a 150 OPS plus, a 147 WRC plus. I mean, that bat was hard for them to ignore. So can fully understand why they brought him up. But again, with that catcher framing at a 45, that's below league average, or right around league average, I would say. So more of a platoon position. Maybe have him in here and there against the right-handed batters. Again, he can be a good platoon if Narvaez needs a day off. But you can obviously see that, if he can get on base, he obviously can avoid the Ks, so he can put the ball in play. He doesn't have an awesome BABIP, though, at just the 40, but he does have a good eye. So if he can get on base at a solid clip, and again, I mean, he had a 429 on-base percentage in Worcester, 133 plate appearances, so fully can understand the situation there. So a good solid option there. They also have Connor Wong, so they're kind of running a 3-catcher platoon right now. Connor's got a good bat, doesn't have an awesome eye, but can put the ball in play. And again, a solid catcher. Again, not quite the quality that Narvaez is behind the dish, but an awesome personality, and definitely would like him to kind of be our backup as well, and just a good guy to have in the clubhouse. But unfortunately, he can't play a ton of other positions. He would be a decent first baseman, but again, without the power at the first base position, does have some gap potential, decent speed, good player all around, but would honestly, for a guy to play first base, would look for somebody with plus power. If he had the plus power, he would definitely be an everyday first baseman for sure. All right, going around the horn now, we got Wilson Contreras, WC40. The Red Sox brought him in the offseason. We got Willie the Beast here. Excellent player. Having a great year so far in Boston in his first year in the Red Sox with a 146 OPS plus, and he's really been carrying the offensive load. Again, average, good to above, little above average first baseman. Right-handed bat, fits Boston well, fits that park. Good contact, good BABIP, power's there, eye, good batter. Really like him. So he's going to be our everyday first baseman without a doubt. And currently they got Marcelo Meyer here at second base. Now we may make a few changes here. Ultimately, where I think we need to have Meyer play is at short. I think we need to either commit to him as the everyday third baseman or the everyday shortstop and let him develop in that role. He does, he doesn't have awesome ratings at shortstop currently, but has the potential to be a 55. His range is 65, his arm is 65, and his error rating is 55. So he definitely has the potential. Would I love to see a 70 range at shortstop? I definitely would. I would take it if I could get it. But even at the 65, he has the ability, and with that plus arm, he can throw in the hole from short with ease. So that might be a spot where we make a slight adjustment, move him over to short for long-term play. And the bat will be the bat. Currently, they got Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, IKF, at third. Again, a solid defensive player, not a ton of bat there. And for a guy that, again, if you're playing at third base, a typical power spot, you're getting no power out of this position. So I don't see IKF. I mean, at the salary at $6 million, his contract status, he's just here through the remainder of this year. I can see him being more of a platoon spot, defensive position to bring in late in games. He definitely has good defense. Plays solid anywhere on the infield where you want to put him. He can play it, and he'll do it well. It's just not a great bat to carry that type of position. Shortstop, Andrew Monasterio. Again, I think we're going to make a pivot here. A decent defensive player, has some bat potential, has some pop in it. But again, I think we could easily move him even over to play second base and get Marcelo Meyer at short and to build from there. Moving now into the outfield, we have Jarren Duran. Excellent gap power. And just a spark plug in a sense. Has just a bit of a unique personality. Obviously, there's a lot of information out there, just the story of his life. pretty interesting character. Potentially, we could maybe look to trade him. Again, he's only here through the remainder of this year. He's going to be arbitration eligible, though, so we have some control over him to see what we could do. But again, this bat in the speed profile, I like a lot of those things. He just has not had a great year to date offensively as compared to last year when he was throwing up a 116 WRC plus, the year prior, 135. So he's been degrading a little bit year over year. Maybe again with just some confidence put behind him, maybe a kind of a long-term-ish deal, a couple of years would give him the confidence to play, because he can definitely play a strong left field. And at Boston, with that wall out there and left, to be able to play that well is important. And obviously just the speed, the base running, he can do all of those things really well. It's just going to be get him on base enough with that contact at 45. If he could boost that avoid K's and BABIP, get that all up there, we could have a pretty good solid left fielder for a number of years. All right, center field, we got Ceddanne Rafaela. Again, the bat he's got some pop in the bat. It's just his eye potential is atrocious. So he is swinging at everything. But again, a solid defensive player, obviously out there. That 75 in center is unbelievably of value. You can see he's just got excellent range, so he can get to nearly everything out there in center, which has got tons of value for me. It doesn't make errors, got a strong arm as well. So definitely, and for this value of 2.2, I mean, he's going to get a ton of defensive value. It's just with that bat, you got to have the defense kind of carry you. And they got him locked up relatively long term, as you can see here. So this is, honestly tremendous value even through his age 30 year. We have a team option in 2032 for 16. But if he's still carrying offensively, has health, isn't degrading defensively, not a bad deal. And that's a type of position too where, teams that are in a playoff hunt trying to make a World Series run, a player like this could have tremendous value across the league as well. And our right fielder, once we hop over there, is Wilyer Abreu. Wilyer Abreu in right. And again, what we have here is a traditional, what you'd like to see in those corner outfield spots is a little bit of pop in the bat. And that's what Wilyer brings. He's got that 55 power with the potential up to 60. Excellent right fielder. He's got a strong arm, range, air. So we have a really strong defensive outfield. At all three spots, we got guys that are plus defensively. The defense is strong in the outfield. It's really just, can we get Duran to kind of turn it around at the dish, bring a little more value. Rafaela, if he's just an 80 WRC plus, 80 to 85, I'm happy. But we really need the strong numbers, and we're getting it out of Wilyer so far this year as well. A little more power would be great, but if he can hit us 18 to 25 home runs a year, that's excellent. And again, favorable contract, arbitration eligible after the offseason. The estimate's not even that high. We can build around this player. And then our DH so far this year has been Masataka Yoshida. Bit of an albatross contract, extremely hard to play him kind of anywhere in the outfield. He's just not a good defensive player at all. He really is kind of defense or offense first. He has a good bat, not a ton of power though. His eye potential isn't great, but he can make really strong contact. He's not going to strike out a lot. He's going to put the ball in play so you can pressure your defense. But again, that defense, I mean, the 50 it's just not great. Honestly, the game could probably rate him even lower than that from a defensive standpoint. So this guy, he really needs the bat to carry him. And just in recent years, what he did in 2025 for Boston, he's suboptimal even with his bat. So it's if you're not getting any defensive value and he's not getting you enough pop in the bat to carry you, especially at a DH position, we got to really think what we're going to do with Yoshida long term. We got Casas down in AAA right now, rehabbing from injury. Casas could come up and definitely have more bat potential in our offense, and still brings that lefty bat. So Yoshida, we might have to make a tough decision. The contract is rough. It's all of this year and next year as well, and there's really just not a spot to put him. You're not going to put him out defensively he's not really a positive bat that's getting you more value than Duran, and you're losing defensively in that position then. So it's a bit of a tough haul. He's a good guy in the clubhouse though, strong presence. He's adaptable, so he doesn't mind coming off the bench, doing things in that regard or things of that nature. And then let's just take a quick look at those on the bench. Obviously, Connor Wong, Sogard, Gasper. So we got the two catching roles. Right now they got 13 here, 13 batters, so we got 13-13 split, which is fair. But again, Durbin, they traded for him in the offseason. Has not panned out well so far, as you can see here. They traded Monasterio came over in that deal. Future considerations, Kyle Harrison, David Hamilton. So the Red Sox kind of thought, hey, this guy can be really good. The bat does have some potential there. Gap power, the long ball power is really not. Now the scouting is average. So once we get our scouting director in, we're going to do a fresh scout on both. We'll start with the major leagues and AAA. Get fresh scouts there. Scouting reports. We'll take a look at those if anything pops out. But he's got a good personality here. The spark plug personality. Good guy to have off the bench. And you got to love a guy. 5'7", 185, just playing in the league through grit and grind. But unbelievably poor year so far with a negative .7 WAR. Like, yikes, in the OPS plus of 38. So he's just off to a really rough start here in Boston. And it's just unfortunate because the profile could play relatively well. He can avoid K, can put the ball in play, has got the gap power. It's just got to pan out, and he can play some defense. He can be all over the place, both in the infield and the outfield, honestly. But probably more, that third base, second base. He does have the arm, so he can play, kind of anywhere you want to put him on the infield. It's just the bat's got to carry a little bit. So it's been a failed experiment so far with Durbin, and that one's probably at this point the biggest black eye to our basically the role that we're playing in the organization as the GM, Craig Breslow. It's just the biggest black eye to him is where he went out and kind of sought out that deal in the offseason and was like, hey, this will be the replacement, for the third baseman that they had last year that went to the Cubs. And his name is evading me at the moment. But let me grab the Cubbies. Yeah, Bregman. So Bregman went over to the Cubs in the offseason, again, for a handful of millions of dollars, which is not immaterial, but he probably really would have preferred to stay in Boston, and they just didn't want to. One, they didn't want to give him the no-trade clause. He wanted the confidence that he could stay in Boston for as long as he wished, and they were just not willing to put that no-trade clause on him. And for that, plus a few $1 million in the contract value, he's like, all right, see ya. I'll head to Chicago. But it hasn't been, awesome over there either. And again, it's not a small contract to think about. $32.5 million for 5 years. I mean, that's a big deal. So you can't blame the Reds. I mean, it's just the type of team type of organization that they're running. They're going to try to run it in a certain fashion, and players that want to fit into that mold, they'll keep. If players want to kind of do something different, they'll have to have some other options on the table. So I think that's all we'll take a look at for the roster on the batting side of things. Let's take a quick look at the pitching staff. Obviously, we got one key guy currently on the team. And let me even jump back to look at a couple guys that are actually injured. But let's look at Crochet first because we're talking about the pitchers for just a second. So Crochet currently out with the left shoulder inflammation, 2 to 3 months. Again, that injury, I mean, they're just not rushing him back at all. I think the Red Sox this year, in real life, kind of see this year as kind of a lost cause, and they're not going to rush Crochet back to pitch in somewhat, you could consider meaningless games for the remainder of 2026. So they're really looking at him. We just don't want to damage your health long term. He's still really young at 26, is the ace of the staff, and you can see why, with plus fastball, plus cutter, plus change, slider, sinker, awesome arsenal. and the type of pitcher that we're looking for with plus stuff. So this guy fits the mold of even the pitcher that I'm looking for. So we'll keep an eye on him. We're not going to rush him back either, depending on where things are in the next 30 to 45 days within the game. But if we're in a position to make a hunt for a position or a playoff spot this year, and he can come back, he's gotten back healthy, he hasn't had to set back, he's put up some good rehab starts in AAA or in AA, we'll think about it from there. Cutter Crawford, also, he's on a rehab assignment currently. Again, a player that can most likely have a spot somewhere. Now, will he be in the rotation? Maybe. But maybe more of a bullpen arm here. Does have hot plus control. His arsenal, he doesn't have any pitch that's really amazing, so he's really just kind of grit out there on the mound. But again, historically, a 2 WAR in 2023, had a good solid year there. Last year, not as great. Or in 2024, I apologize. He was hurt all of 2025 and is now on his way back. So we'll have to see where he can kind of slot in. Again, the contract, it's not like we're getting burned, by a ton of money here. But if we could get him back, maybe have him in the bullpen to start with, or kind of see what he's doing kind of on his rehab assignments as that kind of just matures over time, we can see where we can slot in Cutter Crawford to pitch in some meaningful innings this year. And then the two batters I want to take a look at here quick are obviously Roman Anthony. So another outfielder, and this is where even it's tougher with Yoshida, is what do we do with this guy? Because once Roman comes back, you're going to want Roman playing as well. So you throw Roman out and left. You got, at that point, maybe Duran's playing DH, or you got Willier playing DH some too. So you got a lot of options, but just the outfielder positions that they have. But obviously here, what's nice about Anthony, locked up long term. None of these contract values are appalling from a number standpoint, and he's locked up until he's 30. So he has an opportunity once he gets to that age at 30, way down the road in this sim, to opt out, or we can not take up that option, and he could test free agency at age 30. So he could even go get another big deal in his career if he can remain healthy, and obviously is putting up the stats to warrant that contract. Not an awesome base runner. Defense is good. His arm is probably, for Boston, probably a little bit more of that left field arm than a right field arm. So that's probably where we would look to slot him in. But look at this potential that he has. The 75, he can put the ball in play. He's got the power potential. His eye is excellent. So we're in good shape with Roman. Exciting ball player to build around. Low loyalty, high financial ambition. His baseball IQ is also low in the game. Bit of a challenge there, but you can't. There's just a raw talent that he has at the dish. I'm excited to see what we can do with Roman Anthony, and I think with a good coaching staff around him, the staff cohesion, I think this could be a very exciting player. And then Triston Casas, he's just been injury riddled so far in his career. But what you're looking for at first base, big, tall guy, big guy, has the power potential, has a good eye. It's just, can he put the ball in play enough? But even there, in that sense, I'm not looking for a ton from a BABIP perspective. It's really just that power potential, and to play a solid first base. He's got a good, strong arm over there. Doesn't need the range. The error is what it is. We could see if in the offseason, if we could train him up on defensive a little bit to be a little stronger out there. Hard worker, has the high work ethic. I like him a lot. In that lefty bat, it's probably not the best fit for that ballpark. He'd be probably a better fit in Yankee Stadium or someplace like that where there's a short porch and left. But again, I'm excited to see when he can come back, get him through some rehab games, maybe get him back up on the roster, and could maybe play some DH, platoon at first a bit. Because again, we want to build around this potential to, one, get on base, but also hit the ball at the ballpark. So I think that's kind of all I'll look at for the injuries. Tanner Houck's down there, but he's a ways off, so we won't worry about him too much at this point. But obviously you can see they got some guys that are hurt. Obviously Trevor Story, shortstop here as well. Here's another bad contract that this team has on the roster. I just don't know what we'll do with him. He's fragile tendency already with the injury. And he just has not. He had a good bounce back year last year in 2025 with the 4 WAR. Had a really solid season for the Red Sox, but that's probably very much few and far between now for Story at his advanced age and playing such a tough position. Now maybe we move him over to second, and he's not having to range as far. It's not as demanding physically as a position as short is, and we can think about that. Now the only wrinkle with that I'm thinking about is another player that the Red Sox recently signed long term who is in AAA currently, and that is, I'm looking at the second baseman that they brought in a while ago or signed. I just don't see him. Christian Campbell is who we want to take a look at. So again, they brought Christian up early in 2025. He went off on a tear, and they signed him to a long-term deal. Again, not a horrendous contract, obviously, for the next handful of years. I mean, for the next few years, it doesn't even eclipse $10 million a year. So you don't need a ton of WAR value to ascertain value out of that contract. But again, the bat does have potential. Everything's plus on the bat side. Decent base runner, good guy in the clubhouse, has the potential. So 55 potential rating. Defensively is where we're going to struggle with this fella. He doesn't really have any position that he's excellent at. He's more of an outfielder than potentially even an infielder, but really where I'd like to slot him is that second base position. And just can he develop a little more defensively? Range 50 at second is not awesome. It'd be nice if that was 55 to 60. I don't so much care about the air. Doesn't need a strong arm at second base, so he has enough arm there. It's just that range. If we could bump him up a little bit there. Obviously, his turn double play is not great. So it's just, where do we put him in the outfield? Like, they got so many outfielders right now. But I have set him. He was initially a right fielder down in AAA. I have set him to play the position of second base because I think that's where we got to slot this guy in into our roster. And I think, again, where I would really like to bring him up is relatively soon. Now, he's not throwing up awesome numbers down in AAA, so there's really nothing to say, well, let's just move him up. It's not like he's throwing like a 150, 160 WRC plus down in AAA to warrant the upgrade or the move up to the big leagues. So we'll have to keep an eye on him, see how the roster kind of ebbs and flows throughout the year. But this is a guy where I would love to get him up just because of that bat potential. But again, a lot of it's not current ratings where he's got the power yet or the strong contact. It's more of a potential rating. So he's got to kind of prove that to be true. But again, once we get some coaching upgrades there in AAA, maybe it's a spot more where, maybe a move is made in the offseason and we get out of Story's contract, or Yoshida's gone or something of that nature, and a more natural spot opens up for Campbell. But we'll have to keep an eye on that. All right. Enough sidebars. Let's get back to our staff. So we got Crochet at the top, hurt. We'll see when he can come back. Maybe it's going to be the August time frame or so. We'll have to see how things go. Obviously, the Red Sox brought in, once they lost out on the Bregman sweepstakes, they went and signed Ranger Suarez. Pretty big contract. He's not young, 30 years old at this point, but a decent pitcher. The stuff's not great. Does have some good movement on his pitches. His BABIP is above average. Good control. And a decent arsenal. He's got a lot of pitches he can throw. He doesn't throw hard, or anything of that nature. The only thing I don't like about him, or in the game, what I don't like about him is that selfish personality. So that's a bit of a struggle. But we'll get a fresh scout on this guy when he comes back. But he's been solid for the Red Sox so far with a positive WAR. The strikeout minus walk at 15.4. I would love a little higher, but again, he doesn't have, amazing stuff. So the numbers are proving to be relatively true. Sonny Gray, the Red Sox also brought him in the offseason to really bolster the staff. So you can see where this team was, what they were thinking about at the beginning of the year. We're going to build around defense and a strong pitching staff. You got to score some runs, though, too. And they've just struggled to get the bats around early enough. You can't win the division in April, but if you have a really rough April, you can set yourself up to be in a position where it's hard to claw back in, and that's where we find our Red Sox so far in 2026. Sonny Gray, though, good. I mean, for this contract, nothing to sneeze at here this year. A lot of that money was, I believe, eaten up by the Cardinals for this year. There is a team option for $30 million at the end of this year. Unless he's going to throw up a 5-6 WAR, I just don't see the value in bringing back at that point a 37-year-old Sonny Gray for $30 million for 1 year. I just don't see it at this point. He does have a decent arsenal yet, but again, we could see this stuff kind of degrade throughout this year, but we'll keep an eye on it. Again, and so far at a .7 WAR, it hasn't proved to be worth the pickup of that contract in the offseason. But we'll see. Again, he has a high baseball IQ, good guy in the clubhouse, and hates the Yankees. So it's a type of guy that you probably want in the organization if you can keep him around and where it makes sense. The next two guys are, obviously some good prospects that the Red Sox have in the organization. We got Peyton Tolle, came up last year, just a big guy, 6'6", 250. Just got that attitude. He just looks like a Red Sox. You know what I mean? Just like the old school type of baseball player. He's got high potential. He's a decent pitcher now, and he's got things that he can develop. So I'm excited about this. He's got a good personality. I don't mind even the low baseball IQ, the adaptability. What's he got to adapt? He's going to be in our starting rotation. Leader in loyalty. He's going to be loyal to the organization, to the city of Boston. I like him. So we're gonna build around Tolle for sure. And then we got Connolly early as well, a lefty arm. Pitched a really good game against the Yankees in the postseason, the year like last year when they got knocked out. But again, a guy that's got some potential and a nice lefty arm. He's got good stuff, good arsenal as well, and another player to be excited about. A young arm, a good young lefty arm to have in your organization. And you can see the numbers that he put up. I mean, that K- walk, unbelievable. And you can see what he did last year with that 31.6%, probably a little bit pitching out of his shoes to start. And you can see what he's done so far this year. It has come back to kind of some reality. But again, we can rely on Connolly early at this point. So you can see the pitching staff, they got some depth there. They got some talent that you could think about a trade piece, other components. The biggest question mark they got, and what the Red Sox recently did here in real life, is they moved Brayan Bello to AAA. So he got a big contract a couple years ago, I think, when he signed it. After the 2024 season, in the offseason, they gave him a pretty good contract to keep him around for a handful of years. 27, again at 27 for 2026 and 2027, the next 2 years, that contract is not rough in any way, shape, or form. He does have options available, which is one of the things why the Red Sox put him down into Worcester, is he had some options yet. Now, that's tough. I mean, that's going to... Is Bello going to bounce back from that in real life is going to be interesting. Is he going to just get mad and want to be out of the organization, or, just kind of fall apart from this scenario? And you can see the stuff is not awesome. It's a 40 stuff. He does have some decent pitches. It's just maybe there's just not much from a profile standpoint that we can do here. Is he just a number 5 and more of a bullpen arm to have focused? He's got stamina, so he can pitch long innings deep into games. Just an incredibly rough 2026 so far, and with K rate of 15.1 and a walk of nearly 10, a 6 K- walk rate is not great. That's not going to carry you in the big leagues probably. So similar to what the Red Sox did in real life, it's also on my mind here in this game too, is to either get him into AAA, which with one of the pitchers, maybe Cutter Crawford, somebody of that kind of repute, becomes healthy and can move back up in the league. He might find himself down in AAA, Or it could be a trade block piece too, that we might put him out in the trading block, see if we can get a bat of some repute to slot in somewhere in the organization as well. Bullpen, I won't focus too much on these guys. Probably won't even look at everybody. Got Ryan Watson in a long relief role, as well as Tejan Guerrero. We got a couple lefty arms in middle relief. And really it's kind of built more on the back end with really Whitlock, Slayton, Weiser, and Chapman. I have made a few adjustments here just to I like to use the stopper role. So I'm going to put, I got Whitlock as our setup man. He's going to be coming in the 8th or later. He'll be a backup closer as a secondary spot. Chapman's going to be our primary closer for sure. But let's just take a look at, obviously you can see Chapman's profile. It's insane. Doesn't have the awesome control, but never has, so you can understand why the rating is where it's at. But this stuff is just insane. The fastball is still the fastball that he has. So he's up around. He's getting up there in age. He does have an opt-out at the end of this year. It'll be interesting to see what he does with that, if he picks it up or not. So he can opt out. But we do have a team option for him for next year too. And again, at $13 million, if he's still healthy and not facing any injuries and his profile hasn't degraded, I could see bringing him back for one more year just to have that strong lefty arm in the pen. Justin Slayton, again, another decent profile. Doesn't have awesome stuff. Really kind of is just he knows how to pitch. He's just a good pitching. Has the high work ethic and adaptability. So again, not a bad arm to have in the pen. And then Whitlock, definitely more of a stronger arm. You could see him probably someday as a future closer type of position. He's got good stamina, so he can pitch plus innings, more than one inning, I should say, and has the velocity on his stuff. Really strong slider, changeup, sinker, and his profile is really solid. He's got great control to go along with that really good stuff. So not only can he's got just great stuff, but he can command the stuff that he does have, which is a very unique situation. So we definitely want to build around Whitlock in that pen. So that's kind of a look at the roster, what we have. The biggest problem that you could say with the Red Sox so far, if we just take a look at some of the team stats, this is where we stand, 22 and 29. Again, game time, we're here back in May 24th, so we're a couple weeks away from the real life date. We're 4th in the division. We're 7th in the wild card. We've been a little unlucky. The Pythag record would be +2 games, so we're not great. Struggling at home. Think about it. What a place to play. Fenway Park, and we're 8 and 16 at home. And a lot of that's because of the offense that is not hitting at that ballpark, which is a place to hit. You can see batting average, not horrible, 5th in the AL. On base is bad. Slugging is bad. Batter WAR is at the bottom. Runs scored very much at the bottom. So you can just see the batting has been the struggle. Pitching-wise, ERA, kind of somewhere there. The bullpen is strong. So the pitching and defense is not bad. Then you can see that's where the team focused again on its ability and just thought the bats would not be this horrendous. And it's what they've been so far. Now, there's one big move that sits in the back of my mind that I would love to explore. I don't think it would make any sense, but it's something that I want to at least think about because it's bad for bad in a sense at this point. But what I really want to think about is there a way to get Mike Trout? And I don't know if there is. The contract is insanely high, and it's for a handful of years yet. And he's already fragile. He would consider a trade to Boston. So he's got teams on, he's got a no trade clause, but he would consider a move to another team. Is there a way you could get Trout? Now, I don't know. It's just something I've been thinking about just again because of the right-handed bat. He's got the power in the eye. I'm not even concerned about these components, the contact, the BABIP, the gap power. I really just want that eye potential and the raw power. And again, he can play a decent outfield spot yet, but you'd probably want to move him to DH at some point in the future. And he's had a good year so far. Last year he played 130 games, threw up a 124 WRC or a 117 WRC plus, a 124 OPS plus, the 26 home runs. Again, the batting average not great. He's not stealing bases anymore. He's not that type of player to really press a lot on the bases. But again, I just think he would love to hit in Boston. I think he'd be a great fit for just smacking balls off that monster or hitting balls over it. And he can take the ball to all fields too, so he's just a good hitter. Fan favorite, got the high work ethic. I just don't know what we could do there, but it's something that we might consider as a possibility. So it's something we'll keep an eye on. He's had a good year so far at 2.2 WAR. So again, with his 153 WRC or his 153 OPS plus and 145 WRC plus this year, I think even with that big contract, I just don't think the Angels are going to be like, hey, let me just have a mid-range prospect or two and call it a day. They may be looking for some relatively high talent in the organization that may not just be worth it in consideration of this contract that is probably a really bad contract no matter how you slice it. Because really to earn $37 million a year, you'd want at least, I would say, 4 WAR, 3.5, 4 to 5 is really probably your baseline. And I just don't know if he's got those types of years left in him. And if he's going to be hurt a couple months out of the year too, there may not be a lot of value there as well. But that's a player that definitely I am thinking about, and I'm going to shortlist him. I'm going to add him to a trade target, and we'll just keep an eye on it. The other one that I've heard a little bit around the league as well for the Red Sox, and again, another really just bad contract to think about, but is Willy Adames for the San Francisco Giants currently. So if we take a look at his profile, what I like about him is he's got excellent infield range. So this is your shortstop. But I would prefer to put Meyer there and just call it a day. We're just going to build around Marcelo Meyer at short. If we move Meyer over to third, and it's like, okay, now we can bring in Willy Adames to play short. Okay, now we got something to think about. Has the range, the air, the arm, the turn double play. So love everything about him from a defensive standpoint. But the bat is not... He's got decent power, good gap power. So his rating isn't even that bad. Now, there's a lot of things to like about him. Again, the defense at short, which is what we want. And he's got the captain personality, a right-handed bat. I prefer that probably even in Boston as well. So that's all positive. 30 years of age, I'm okay with that. I would love him if he was 28. Captain personality, I like it. This contract, though, is a long one yet. So we're signing up for the rest of this year and then 5 years after that as well. He doesn't get hurt, so he's going to play every day. So again, that's another position or another player that definitely I'm interested in. He was a plus bat last year, had 3.3 WAR. So again, he's going to bring you defensive value because he's got that. It's just, can he hit well enough to stay above 95 to 110 WRC plus? And if he does, that's probably not horrible. So again, another one to throw on there as a trade target. So we'll see. We got a couple interesting options there. Those are, I think to be honest with you, I think we almost have to look at some bad contracts. What do we have for money available? We got 18.7 million available now. Money for extensions, not a ton. So again, this, you think Boston, you think top 5, top 8 market, and we're a 12th budget. So it's like right smack dab, kind of close to the middle of the league. So it's not like we got all the money in the world to play with. We got to be a little bit smart on things. And, kind of currently, the scouting budget and development budget is not, set very high. So we're also kind of struggling there because I would much rather put another 5, 10, 15 million across those two buckets from scouting and development as well. But we may not just have that capability, especially on the development side. I'd bump up, maybe even pull a little bit away from development, especially if we'd go out and get like an Adames, because we don't really need a lot of younger players to slot in. It's really just plugging a few holes, and if guys can hit then in that spot, the pitching staff is really ready to go. So again, if we're thinking just in a 2-year window, 2 to 3 year window, the team isn't that far away if we could get some guys that can hit the ball. And again, maybe if you think if we can just get Roman up, he turns it around, Casas, and you bring in like an Adames or a Trout, could we make a run? So, but I think that's where we'll pause it for now. I definitely appreciate you all taking a look at kind of the team. I'm excited. I think we're obviously the next episode we're gonna get ahead a couple of days because we got to fill in these other spots in the personnel. We got to get those positions to fill, and we'll take a look at a few other things as well. And then we'll play a few games, kind of sim through a couple of weeks and see where things net out in the next 3 or 4 weeks, and see if we can even think about some trades as we near the draft, the July 31st trading deadline. I'm not giving up on this season yet. At this point, this team is just 7 games under 500. It's not great from a standings perspective. Obviously, in this game, the Yankees are lucky because Judge is not hurt. In real life, he's now out for 4 to 6 weeks. Probably looking at sometime in August a return if he doesn't face a setback. So the Yankees are lucking out a little bit from where we're starting right now. But the Rays are playing out of their shoes. There's just a lot of teams to jump in the division that we would have to get past. And obviously in the wild card, we're not too far out of it in the wild card spot. So in contention, but the team does, we've got to score some runs. Got to get the offense to turn it around. So again, very excited. Definitely appreciate you all tuning in. And we'll be back soon.